This show is part of the Head Stuff Podcast Network.
It's Tony Galwell shit show. And I know that the show is Tony Galwell shit show. And I know, yeah.
All right, how we getting on, you ale? I was browsing through. I bought this new e-reader, and guys, no, I'm not talking about some fella off there not on yips reading a book to me every night. I'm not talking about some fella just reading bloody Harry Potter, but he's like, so Harry, what's this? Harry put the sorting hat on. And he goes, not Slytherin, not Slytherin. This is amazing. This is amazing. That's not what I'm talking about. An e-reader's like a Kindle, but I bought a Kobo because I'm a hipster. Well, I had a voucher for Computer Exchange in Belfast, and I was like, it was great. It's got this little e-reader. It's changed everything. I'm reading at night. I'm not looking at my phone, and I'm very much enjoying it. And do you know what I've realized? That I can read books. I read the autobiography of Steve Jobs because I'm a fucking weirdo and I like to read about people in boardrooms going fucking mental with each other in the tech industry. I don't know why. That seems to be the thing that I'm most interested in. I like hearing the development of UIs and interfaces and brands partnering with each other. So I've read that 700 pages, 700 fucking pages, and I'm 90% through. Why am I talking about that? That's a boring way to start. I don't remember. I think I just saw it there because I'm not in my fucking car again. I'm in my fucking shed again because I tried to record the podcast. This is a late podcast because I was recording last night, and I was recording last night in my fucking car again, and we have these new neighbours and they're lovely. But I used to sit in my front drive and sit in the car late at night and just record. And like when the curtains are drawn, when the blinds are drawn, you don't look like a private investigator pervert. But when the curtains are open, or in this case, your neighbours don't have curtains yet, and all lights are on. Every single light is on. And, like, you understand what it is to be a moth, because you're just drawn to staring. When you're in the car then, with a glowing red light coming from the kind of the microphone interface, and your face is lit up with a red hue, and you don't know them that well yet, and you're sitting there with a big microphone just kind of staring forward. It's not a great look. It's not a great first impression. So I got shy and I ran into the house and I was kind of waiting for them to go to bed. And I shouldn't be even aware of their circadian rhythm, but I am. So apologies, this podcast is late, but I'm in my fucking shed again. And I tell you, I'm very tired. I've been filming this kids show. I'm hosting a kids show, and I was having a blast. It was great crack. I will say though, no, I mean I'm good with kids. These kids are a little bit older. They're a good crack, My go-to thing was if they were kind of not really saying much, I would say to them, like before we hit action, they were not really saying much. I'd say, what's the most amount of trouble anyone's ever got in your school? Anyone ever been suspended? And it's interesting hearing the differences, One kid was all like, oh man, like this guy, he got suspended, sent home because he double jocked someone. And I was like, what's double jocked? And they were like, when you like do like the cacks and the pants, like, and I was like, oh no. I mean, back in my day, the whole jocking was double jocking. I guess maybe they had to have tiers to it now. And I was telling the kids, I was like, I used to be walking around my Diodora tracksuits, and I would literally, I would have pains around my entire body from how tight I was pulling the drawstring so that I would never get jocked. But I didn't ever get jocked. People tried. I was walking around in constant pain, like I was wearing some sort of fucking, nylon chastity rope or something. You know, I wasn't going into this much detail. I was like, I used to tie my cack so tight that I'd be sore, but I never got jocked. And I think when they saw that I was just a fucking weirdo, they kind of loosened up a bit more. But it was interesting. One was like, yeah, someone got sent home for double jocking. Then there was another kid that was all like, oh, just we have a card system, and if you get 5 red cards, you get suspended. And I was like, oh, like what's the worst thing you've ever seen anyone get a red card for? And they were like, oh, like, speaking English, in the Gael skull. And I'm like, do you know what? Is that not as bad as Cromwell? Is that not as bad as what Cromwell had done to this country? Is that not as bad? But it's not, obviously. Of course not. But no, it was interesting. But they were long days, motherfucker. Long days. But I tell you, I do like, even if it's a 13-hour day, I work very well in an environment which is kind of like someone's picking you up then, get in the car. Get out of the car and go in. Eat that. That's breakfast. Now go in there. Now put that on. Now wait 5 minutes. Now come out here, stand there. Now read that. Now go back into the room. Now come out and read that. Now go back into the room. I like that. I mean, you don't get, it's very all consuming because it's kind of, you spend about 5 minutes thinking about something and then your concentration's immediately broken. But I dug it. And I even was digging getting up that early in the morning, But I will say, that early in the morning and there's a taxi outside. I mean, what a charmed life that I have, a taxi to bring me to the set every day. But, and sorry, I'll give you more information on this show as it develops, but I don't want to be spoiling too much, but I'm presenting the kids show. And it's great, a charmed life, of course, getting in a taxi. But, when some of them wanting to be chatting that early in the morning, like, read my fucking face. No, like, they're nice and it's lovely. But I tell you, when I saw the taxi and who was going to be picking me up, and I saw a not Irishy looking name, I was like, fucking yes. The paddies want to be chatting the fucking ear off you, even that early, If I saw John, I'd be like, oh, But if I saw Muhammad, if I saw the surname Song or something, I won't dare try and butcher some of the Nigerian names of the drivers. Then I'm like, fucking yes. Get into the back of the car. They're blaring Fela Kuti while also having their headphones in. So then it's like, all right, I'll put my headphones in. We have an understanding here, But then there was one, I'm not sure exactly where in Asia he was from. I think it had a little bit of the kind of, some of the Filipino names have quite a musical kind of, they kind of almost like musically Spanish-y kind of names or something, but Asian. Do you know what I mean? I know I'm being so fucking ignorant here, but I can only speak to the level of my knowledge. And so I was like, all right, great, because in that early in the morning, I'm fucking ABI, anyone but Irish, I'm like, Ireland isn't full enough would be my stance really when it's not early in the morning. Not that Ireland is full. It's my stance when it's not that early in the morning. There's plenty of room in Ireland. Anyway, I'm just meaning that I vastly prefer people who weren't born in this country. Anyway, look. So then I get in the car and there's this kind of Asian, kind of maybe Filipino. I'm not exactly sure. And I was like, all right, great. I can just chill out here. Now this man. Now look, he turned out to be the loveliest man I've ever met in my life. But it was as if. Those videos where people put on the glasses and they can see color for the first time. This was his vibe. Everything, and he wanted to talk about it. 6:30 in the morning was fucking amazing for him. He was like, "Oh, that's a big tree." And I was like, "What? The tree? That's very big." And I was like, "Yeah, yeah." And he's like, "Oh, two cars? They look like the same color to me." And I was like, "Oh, yeah." We're driving by like a cafe, and he was like, "Oh, somebody's looking forward to a coffee." And I said, "What?" And he pointed, and there's just someone standing outside a cafe, and it was clear that they were the owners of the cafe because they were wearing the uniform of the cafe. And I was like, "Oh yeah, yeah," you know. But then I ended up chatting to him because I felt like a piece of shit. This guy's looking, and I'm like, my mother takes in students. She has students stay. I think she's one of the best spokespeople for Ireland. She's almost like a domestic ambassador for Ireland with the level of care and, love and, you know, high spirits that she shows. She's an absolute ambassador for Ireland. And I was thinking of her, thinking this is the impact. People go away from Ireland thinking Ireland is a beautiful place because Carla there, showed us a wonderful time. And I'm thinking, do you know what? At the end of the day, I still am an ambassador for this country. So I was talking to him a little bit. A little bit. He would like, look at that tree. And I'm like, oh, wow, that's cool. And then we were driving by the RDS and there was a horse show on there. And he goes, oh, a lot of food trucks in there. And I said, yes, I think they're catering the horse show. People go in there and have a look at the horses. And then he was like, oh. And then I said, but I don't think the horses would like to eat any of that food. And he was like laughing his fucking ass off. He loved it. And I'm like, all right, this is actually all right. But, similarly in the morning, I had like this Irish guy. And do you know what? Like, even if it's not, and look, it's great to communicate, it's great to chat, it's great to understand someone's life. And, when it doesn't go down a route of Ireland's full, it's always delightful to get an insight into other people's life. But you know what I found myself doing? This guy, he was chatting, and he was just chatting about. It's mad how we're just talking about the fact that he does marathons, and I, of course, did not instigate. Do you do marathons? And he was a nice guy and everything, but it's just mad how, like, that's why you get that. That's why you take that job. It's not about ferrying people around. It's like, how do I find a job where I can have someone's undivided attention so I can talk at them about whatever I want to talk about? And I'm realizing right now the irony in me saying that. Okay, I understand that's also my whole shtick. I understand maybe that's my whole shtick, But I'm not there talking and people have to sit there and they're not allowed to leave. Well, maybe in a show, maybe there's a bit of pressure that you can't, you know. And, I'm not I am charging people. Okay. Well, and I suppose actually, they're also doing an extra bit of service by bringing you to a different destination. And I'm not really doing that. I mean, I might be taking you to different places in your heart and in your minds, but geographically, you'd be staying in the same place. And also, if you're going for a short trip, my service would be a bit more expensive. But whatever. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, no. But it's mad. It's just, you get into a taxi, and some fella be like it's almost like, you ask them how long you've been out, how long you've been driving, how long you've been out today. And it's almost like they got out as soon, at dawn, or at dusk. No, dawn. Dawn's the morning one. They go out at dawn just because obviously their wife couldn't fucking handle them burning the ear off them about whatever they're into, taxidermy or whatever. Obviously couldn't think of anything else not related with taxis there, but but it's wild. It's just like, for people who have unbelievable hobbies and want to talk about them all the time and have people, listen, so they're being talked at. It's an amazing job. Gone to the taxidermy there about 40 years ago, I do this for a living, but taxidermy would be my real fucking vocation. Is that right? Yeah. I remember putting taxidermy in the CAO form. because I thought that was driving people around in cars. Turned out to be not. Instead of driving cars, it was stuffing bats and things like that. But I tell you, I fell in love. I said, when you fucking mummified the cat and delivered it to some crying woman in Donnybrook, and she's like, "That's my baby," and I'm like, "A fucking now." I made it look exactly like the photo. There's not enough amateur taxidermies drivers. Whatever. I'm going to lost the plot. But yeah, long days, my friend. Also, I tell you, it's been nonstop. It's been nonstop. I was at All Together Now. Let me tell you, when you go down to All Together Now on the last day, when you go to any festival and you're there on the last day and you're sober and you're not drinking and you just see, you're walking by and everyone's being lovely, but they're like, balloon, mate. Is that balloon? And you're like, oh, did you lose your voice? Yeah, man. Yeah, sorry. And then some girl will be like, yeah, don't mind him. Don't mind him. He's only having a laugh. It's wild. It's wild. And I'm so impressed with everyone's ability to laugh at anything. But we had a wonderful time. We did our Give It a Lash, Win Some Cash, where I took over the bandstand this year with Emma Dorn and Martin Angolo. We had people come up, perform tricks. We had a queue this time of people coming up. I mean, why wouldn't you? It's 20 quid to do, a not very good trick. But you know what we had? We had 3 people doing the fucking worm in a row. That's wild. That is wild. But they were getting incrementally better, to be fair. After the second worm, Martin Angolo was all like, all right, you've done it all flat. I want to see a vertical worm. And then someone came on and was like, my trick is doing a vertical worm. Did a little belly thing, The winner, of course, was someone balancing something on their face. We were very impressed by that. There was a father-daughter duo of gymnasts. Certainly quite impressive, but not as certainly maybe won the hearts of the people. But what won the minds and the wallet was a man coming up and putting things on his face and balancing them. Mar Hampla a chair, Mar Hampla a mic stand with a mic in it. Very impressive. He went home with the cash prize. I was trying to get onto Aidan Gillen's agents because I wanted to get Aidan Gillen to come on stage. And I'd be like, what's your talent? And he'd be like, people say I look a bit like Aidan Gillen. And then I'd be like, okay. And then just look at him. And then I'd just give him 20 quid and he'd leave. And I just thought that'd be the funniest thing in the world. But due to time constraints, in the most diplomatic, in the most parliamentary language, I was told, fuck off, fuck off. That's mad. Why would we get Bohemian Rhapsody's Aidan Gillen on stage with you? You can't. But it was a wonderful time. I simply must say. What else is going on with me? I'm off to Edinburgh on Sunday, bringing the family. I'm looking forward to that. I'm going to be performing in the Underbelly in Bristow Square at 10 p.m. every night, which is late. So if you happen to be in Edinburgh, you're looking for something to do, come along, 10 p.m. Nothing else on. Come along, have a little laugh. I mean, you're probably thinking we'll get the shows done and then go to the pub, but whatever, come to my show if you have not seen it before. We'll get a little rowdy. I do much prefer a drunken crowd because they don't think as much, and I like that. It suits me very well. But I'm having to write about. I'm doing like interviews and stuff for it, and a lot of people are asking me what the last thing I cried at was, and genuinely, because I think this is interesting. I showed Sonny the scat man, beep ba 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 da bo, ba 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 da bo. And naturally, because I live a very kind of big fish. I do the kind of big fish style of parenting where I exaggerate everything to make everything seem magical. And I'm really kicking down the road the realization that there is no true magic in the world. But whatever, for as long as it may live. So I was saying, listen to this guy. He's the fastest speaker in the world. And so instantly, Sonny's like, what? Loving it. You know. But I was finally listening to the song in the car. And he's saying, because I know that the Scatman John from the Scatman used to have a terrible stutter and he couldn't get at now. You know? He'd be like this, I'm not going to do an impression of a stammer, but, he wouldn't be able to say even Scatman John. And then through the beautiful musical art form of jazz scatting, the Scatman John made the biggest hit in 1994, the Scatman. And I was listening to the lyrics for a change, and not just scabba-dabba-da-beam-ba-dam, but he does a little bit of a rap. Everybody stutters one way or the other, so check out my message to you. As a matter of fact, don't let nothing hold you back. If the Scatman can do it, then so can you. And I was listening to that, and I was fucking tears rolling down my face, thinking of everything the Scatman John had to overcome. And you know what? I fucking love it. Just something's happened now. I'm super emotional about everything all the time. I don't know if it's giving me any more empathy, but sometimes things just hit me a little bit differently now, and I'm just listening to the fucking Scatman. And I'm fucking bawling my eyes crying. It is weird, though, when you get, do you know what I had? I had to do an interview for something, and they were like, I had to do it about this other show where I'm going into schools and chatting to kids, which will be coming out soon. First Class Takes, it's called. I know I'm doing a lot of kids shit at the moment, but I'm actually enjoying it. At first, I was kind of like, that's not very fucking cool. I feel like that's not cool. I'm radical. I'm a crazy punk. That's crazy. I would do that, but I'm not, obviously. But then when you're actually chatting to the kids and you're like, oh, do you know, there's a trade that I've learned here, and I'm kind of doing the trade. It'd be like doing making a kid's bookshelf if you're a carpenter. Do you know what I mean? I'm just applying a trade to younger people. And I think because I was a kid and I would have saw someone in my teens, this is what I'm so preoccupied with. Terry's always saying this. I'm so preoccupied with when I was a teenager, and I'm still trying to live like I'm a teenager and live by the ideology of what I think is cool and uncool and what's square from when I was a teenager. And guess what? I was a fucking bellend then. Do you know what I mean? But I seem to be latching on to this as some sort of cosmic truth to guide my whole life of what I thought was cool and not cool when I was a teenager. Like, I'm here looking at fucking shit in my shed here, and there's whatever, skateboards are still cool. I mean, there's maybe nothing proving my point here, but it's decorated like a teenager's bedroom in this shed. And, anyway, I've kind of lost myself there a little bit, but, how did I get onto that? I was doing that. Yes, I was doing an interview, and they were like, do you know, and I need to stop. I need to stop being. And I can tell myself, I am turning into a bit of an asshole. I need to check myself. Jesus, on Young Hot Guys there a couple of weeks ago, I was talking about going to the Odyssey premiere. I'll come back to the interview in a second, and I was speaking before I was even fucking thinking, because I was like, but no, I wasn't. I actually, do you know what? I wasn't. Hang on, because I'm trying to wrap my head around this. I went to the Odyssey premiere, right? I got a free ticket, okay? A free ticket, and invited to the Odyssey premiere to watch it in 70mm film, followed by a drinks reception, and there was popcorn to go in there, eat your popcorn. There was a big Tony's Chocolonely bar that you could have. All this good stuff. Like, can't believe my luck. I got a hot wife, and me and her are going to the Odyssey premiere. Can't believe my fucking luck. All right? And then we're going in there, and there's a guy, and he's saying, all right, just if you can find whatever 2 seats there, and you're good. And I got 15% lippy with him, right? This this person working the IFI, I got 15% lippy with him. And I was like, 2 seats, can you not see 2 seats? And even that is not like fucking. Are you not getting a bit cringe by that? My heart is sinking out my chest that I did that. And then the fact that I would bring it up, I brought it up on the podcast, is in like, can you believe? And then I'm like, fucking hell. Like, I cannot believe my luck that I have all this. And I'm a free ticket. And I'm there being, can you not see 2 seats? So I need to fucking rein that shit in. It actually was good because it scared me a little bit. It scared me a little bit of what, like, if I, it, true fucking entitlement, you know? And I'm not really like that. I don't really expect a lot. And then I'm kind of like, but now I'm in this kind of like service mode or something like that where someone should be doing their job. And I need to fucking rein that shit in big time, you know? Like, I was able to catch myself that time that I saw the lads from Mary's, the boys from, Mary's College in Rathmines. I saw them littering in a car park in Ranelagh, and then I called the school and I was about to grass on them. And then I was like, fuck, now hang on. Remember who you were. Remember who you were. All right? You might have dropped a can of Coke or before in your time. And, to be grassed on or to be ratted on, or I've been fired from so many fucking jobs from doing a piss poor job. And if someone's fucking having a go at me as well when I don't want to be there in the first place, do you know what I mean? We all share this fucking world. And I was being a little bit lippy. And then the fact that I didn't even realize that I was being lippy. The fact that I didn't even realize, that's what scared me now. I'm like forgetting where I am. I should have been walking in there being, I can't believe my fucking luck. I'll sit on the fucking floor if there's no seats. Thank you for having me here. You know? And I tell you what, if all this fucking plume shit had happened when I was like, 18 or something, I think, and if I did, and if I was, if I wasn't married, I think I think I'd be some fucking right asshole. Do you know what I mean? Because Terry was even giving out to me. She was all like, that was a little bit. And I was all like, no, like, is it not his job to fucking tell me where the seats? No, it's not. His job was fucking saying, go in that room. So if you listen to that podcast and you thought, Jesus Christ, Tony Campbell sounds like a bit of an out of touch cunt, you'd be right. So I'm sorry. It wasn't even that lippy that your man would even remember that. But it was enough for me to be like, all right. There's a difference between changing your man's phone contract because they've been overcharging her for worse service and being polite yet assertive on the phone to a company that is probably making the majority of their profits from L biddies, still with an old fucking, MPC fucking box, UPC box, non-playable character box. It's out there with a fucking UPC box, 35 years old, paying £120 probably for worse service for 2 channels, without knowing that for a fraction of the price they can get the fastest broadband in the country and every channel that ever existed. This is where the people, all these rolling contracts. So I understand I'm assertive there, being like, no, that's not good enough. Here, do this. This is how the world works. Because I'm also giving them loads of money. But to go in for a fucking free ticket and be like, can you not find 2 seats? What, can you see 2 seats? It was enough now. Luckily, I caught it before I was being too lippy. But then also the fact that I brought it up on the podcast, being like, can you believe? And then I'm like, oh, I'm so wrong. So anyway, how did I get onto that? I got onto that because I was talking about something else. Yeah, this woman in the interview, right? I was being a bit of an asshole. All right, she was asking me questions, right? And she was asking, like, I was meant to be talking about this kids show we go when we talk to kids, and she was kind of like, I think I just expected to be asked like interesting questions, but it was kind of like, she was like, okay, this show, go. And I was like, I didn't like that. Because I think there could be a level of just like, I heard about the show. What did you think of this? But this show of like, go. I'm like, well, that's me writing it for you then, isn't it? Like, But either way, I kind of explained what the show was. Going to schools, chatting to kids in first class. Kind of school around the corner, that kind of thing. And then we talked about that for a little bit, and she goes, okay, so you're ADD. You got diagnosed for ADD. I'm like, all right, you've done a bit of research here. And then she's like, go. And I'm like, what? Like, what about it? And I was like, yeah, what? Like, so what? what do you mean? What I was like, well, when were you diagnosed? And but it was very kind of like, well, when is it? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I didn't like the tone. And I was like, but anyway, I explained whenever I got diagnosed for ADD that I've been writing this show, and I was like, why is this so hard? I have my dream job, everything I want. I've taken time off to write a show, and I still can't seem to muster up uh, enough focus just to actually do it, even though it's everything that I want to do. And I know what I want to do, but I just can't do it, and I don't understand why. This feels beyond just being lazy. This feels medically, you know, this feels disorderly. The fact that I can't get this shit together and explain all this. And then she was like, yeah, but like, so there's a lot of people getting diagnosed with ADD now. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? And then I was like, and I said, what? I said, what answer do you think I would give to that question as to whether more people with ADD are being diagnosed with it or not? And then she was like, well, just, do you think that maybe, more people who are diagnosed with it might be kind of, I think she said like it might be kind of watering it down or something like that. Or something, like it's my waddy or something, you know? you know, like this. And then I was like, well, there might be people who think that they have it. And there's a huge waiting list. So maybe we leave it up to the medical professionals really to determine as to whether someone might have ADD or whether they won't. And she goes, yeah, no, just. And then I was like, are you like a skeptic about ADD or something? And she was like, well, no, I just think, a lot of, as you said, there's a lot of people on the wait list to be diagnosed. And I think maybe, maybe that they might be getting in the way of other people, who actually kind of have it, And I was like, well, how would you manage that? What solution, Good thing or a bad thing? I think it's a good thing that more people are trying to, help themselves, So we'll see how that comes out. We'll see how that comes out. But then I'm also like, this is some person doing a job. She doesn't want to fucking talk to me. Why would she want to talk to me? Why should she do her work? If that was me doing that and it was someone that I didn't know on the phone and I had to do an interview with them, would I be any better? Probably not. So, I'm not expecting fucking Ronan Farrow. And I'd fucking hate if it was Ronan Farrow. Ronan Farrow being like, I want to interview you. I'm like, oh, what do you have on me? I didn't think I had anything wrong with me. Ronan Farrow wants to interview you for the New York Times. Ah, what? Who's Ronan? Who's Ronan talking to? I haven't done anything wrong. What would they even be saying about me? It's not going to be a fucking puff piece anyway. Ronan Farrow's on it. But anyway, yeah, I tell you, because I had a very busy week, Terry was fucking amazing. She had the kids the whole time. Barely saw the kids. Like the kids were still awake or still asleep when I left. And then when I went home, they were asleep. And I was getting into bed with them while they were asleep, just fucking looking at them like a fucking weirdo, like a gargoyle full of love. And so Terry like had them, was like single parent mostly, for like the whole week. And and then I was like every time I came in, the house was fucking immaculate, and the kids were in bed at a reasonable hour. And I was like, how you been getting on? And she's like, it's actually been very easy. And the house has never been as clean. I was like, all right. And then I realized, you know what? I can't be doing this anymore. I can't be doing these long days away from my family, because I think they will realize that things actually move far smoother when I'm not around. Whenever Terry's just like, yeah, just, I was like, the kids tidied up after themselves, Like it sounded like it was some fucking utopia. She said, to be fair, that it was very boring and not very funny. Which is, that'll only get you so far. So I can't be doing these long projects because they're going to realize that they don't they don't need me around. But then afterwards, then I was, this is what happens. Terry, she's very supportive when I do these things and when I'm away a lot and everything. And she doesn't ever make me feel guilty about it most of the time. But then I know that this kind of like, how was it? You must be so tired. And then the day after that, it'll be like, right, this is everything we need to fucking do while you were out there. Fucking no, it's not that bad. But I can tell that the energy is kind of like, can we go over the list of the things that we have to do before we go on holidays for 2 weeks? And we only have like 4 days to get ready, to get everything ready and get everything ready for the kids when they start school. And then she had this big long to do list, and we had a look at it. And then I said, now before we tackle this list, Terry, can we? Because it was a big long list, and most of the things that Terry had realized we needed to do. It's weird when sometimes we have these check-ins and just kind of just have a look and kind of visualize all the things, because I'll miss them a lot of the time with the ADD and everything. So we have to like write down a list of the things, keep it isolated so that they're not kind of creeping up into the rest of our conversation where we're just talking about the to-dos. We kind of keep it a bit isolated. Might sound a little bit too businessy or a little bit too clinical, but it just means that all these other things aren't just seeping into everything else. So we had to look at a big long list of to-dos. And then I was like, okay, look, I think this is what we should do. I'm going to make us some coffees. We'll have about half an hour. I think we should mull these over so that we can actually come back and then we can talk about how we're going to tackle them and who's going to do them. And then I was like, because do you know what? I think when we go from to-dos straight into how we're going to tackle them, I tend to get very overwhelmed with you telling me all of the things, because I look at a to-do list that you've written as, and I know you don't mean it this way, Terry, I look at all of those to-dos as, and here's another thing you didn't know that I know. And here's another thing that you didn't fucking realize that we have to do because you're fucking away with the fairies half the fucking time. So, I know you writing a list is for you saying, hey, this is the things that actually would really help me out. And if you were looking to, make up for the how much time you weren't here last week, these would be the things. These would be the things you could do for me. That would really, help me relax and take away a lot of the anxiety from just managing a household. That's it. That's her intention writing the list. And then I read that as, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, because I've something fucking, I'm different. I have this rejection sensitivity disorder. That isn't really a disorder. I hate when you add disorder on top of fucking ADD with another disorder, But a lot of people who have ADD have this kind of rejection sensitivity thing where it's like, hey, would you mind doing that? And all I hear is, you fucking messy fuck. See that towel? See the way you leave that towel there? I hate you, But no, I'm getting better. But anyway, I said that to her. I was like, so can we do that so that I'm not looking at everything that you're seeing, right, telling me on that list is like, fuck you, fuck you. And she goes, absolutely, But also, she was like, and I was like, because I was explaining that's how I feel. And she was like, yeah. No shit. Yeah, I fucking know. I know. You don't think I fucking know you. I know. I can see it in your fucking face when you're all like fucking scowling at me while I'm just telling you the things that we need to do together. But then I was thinking, well, do you know, if you know how much that hurts me, then what? No. But anyway, onwards and upwards. I'm probably going to do some walking podcasts while I'm away in Edinburgh. And again, I'm sorry there was no bonus last week because that's what happens. I just cannot predict that I won't have time. And I have every intention to do everything that I want to do in my whole dreams. And then it doesn't always pan out like that. So I'm going to bring my little kind of walking, my little lav mic. And I'll probably, when I'm walking to the show in Edinburgh, it's about a half an hour walk from where our accommodation is, I'll record some pods then. And that's, so the quality might dip a little bit for the month of August, but I think I'm just going to go back into the Head Stuff studios and do the podcast there. I think going in somewhere, having a change of pace suits this podcast a bit better. Taking in the energy of the world and just on camera as well, because I do miss having the clips of this show. And I owe it to you. I'm also going to have a bit more time. The kids are in school a little bit later from September. So I'll have more time, I didn't want, not to get too fucking into the weeds about what's been going on, but when the kids in the crashes and stuff, they're only like, we only get about a 4-hour working day. And the poor lads and young hot guys have had to fucking deal with that shit for the last year. So I'm going to have a lot more time. But, as Dr. Phil says, you can't solve time problems with time. Whatever. Anyway, look, thanks very much for listening to this podcast. I love you so much. I'm sorry this is late, but you know, I'm a flawed man. What can I say? All the best. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Bye-bye.
It's Tony Garrett shit show. And I know that the show is Tony Garrett shit show. And I know, yeah.
This show is part of the Head Stuff Podcast Network, a hub for the creative and the curious. Shows are produced in association with Head Stuff and the Podcast Studios Dublin. Find out more or become a member at headstuffpodcasts.com.